We're on Oholot, Perek Tet Zayin, chapter 16, Mishnah Aleph. First Mishnah in the 16th chapter. I'm going to talk about Yo Bamboo. It's called the Mardea. A Mardea, let's look at Rab Posen for a second. A Mardea is this stick they would use when they were plowing. So the stick was like we'll see exactly what it was. The stick was used in order to clean off the plow or in order to lead the cattle while you're plowing. Okay, and the thickness, it was the thickness of a third of a tefach because it was only the circumference was a tefach. So the ovi amardea is about a third of a tefach. So the Mishnah says the following. Remember, we're talking the last Mishnah about transferring tumah. So let's say the guy's carrying his mardea. He's carrying my mardea is a broom, but it doesn't matter. He's carrying his broom, and behind him, he's like, it looks like this, and the broomstick sweeps over a grave. So it's ma'ahil on a grave and on this guy. Says the Mishnah, the halacha is kol mitaltalin mivin et tumah ke'ovi amardea. All mitaltalin, they can bring tumah, like being ma'ahil, transfer tumah, the thickness of the mardea, mishum ohel. She'im im he'ahil rosho echad alamed. If one of the sides was ma'ahil on the grave, on the dead, v'rosho echad al hakelim, and the second one was on kelim, mevi lehem atuma ke'ovi amardea, the thickness of amardea, afilu ein bo rochav tefach. Even though if it doesn't have a tefach width, it only is hekefo, the circumference of a tefach. Gazu al hekefo mishum avyo. This is a gzeira that the gzeira. This thing it has a circumference of a tefach. So they made a gzeira din derabanan because maybe what happens if somebody would have something that is a tefach wide? So that's the din that's maybe a tatuma. Rabbi Tarfon says Rabbi Tarfon. Akapeach et banai. It's like I will bury my sons. He's like making a shavua. No way. Akapeach et banai. I will bury my sons. Shizo halacha mikupacha. This is I don't know how to translate mikupacha. This is the Kahati says he translates it as lashon shavua. I will. Okay. This is a messed up halacha. There's no way. Why should it be transferred tumah? How could something that's only that's a third of a tefach thick bring tumah as an ohel? Okay, because how did this halacha happen? It's a really fascinating Mishnah. It tells you how the halacha happened. Sheshama shomer, the person heard the halacha. He heard the halacha, meaning the person was in the Beit Midrash when the question was asked of the Beit Midrash. Sham'a shetimuhu. So they heard this guy said, "Oh, I had my stick on my shoulder," and here they made him tameh. Velo shama mishum ma timuhu. They didn't hear why they made him tameh. Hem timu et amardea. Mishum kelim ma'ahilim al hamet. The mardea is tameh. Yes, because the mardea was over hamet. Sha'akli atzmo ma'ahil al hamet tameh b'choshu. The kli itself is tameh. Delo ba'inan poteach tefach ela lehavi et hatuma. Okay, the only reason you need to poteach tefach is not for the kli itself to become tameh, but to transfer tumah to the other side. V'timu et ha'ikar, and they said to the guy, the farmer, said, "You're tameh." O mishum dechiburim. Or because of like connections, he was touching it. Or mishum dehavele kelim shenagu b'met. V'adam b'kelim v'adam b'kelim. Why? Because the kelim touched the mate and the person is touching. Meaning, yes, the mardea is tameh because it was over the mate. And therefore the ikar touched the mardea and therefore he was tameh too much shiva. V'ashomea ta'ah, the person who heard made a mistake to say, Timu mitam shamardea mevi alav tumah midin ohel. The person who heard the question, so this guy went to the Beit Midrash, he asked a shaila. He's like, "What, am I tameh?" And they said, "Yes, you're tameh." Why? Because you're holding the stick. But the guy who heard the question said, "Oh, he's tameh because the mardea brings tumah ke'ovi mardea. Anything that's the thickness of mardea can transfer tumah through ohel, which is not true. Let's read it again. Amar Rabbi Tarfon says, "Akapeachat banai shezo halacha mekupechet." I would bury. This is a terrible. I don't need. He's like, I'm telling you, this is halacha is wrong. I will bury my sons unless this is a terrible halacha. Sheshama shomea. Okay, the person who heard the question heard. This, by the way, is a phenomenon in halacha all the time. You heard that guy. I heard that guy that he was allowed to not to eat on Tisha B'av. And he made a mistake. Shaikar over Amardea Ktefo. The farmer was passing with this stick on his shoulder. Veheil tzido echad ala kever. And he was ma'ahil one side on the kever. And they made him tameh because he was holding or connected to kelim that were ma'ahilim alameh. The kli itself was tameh. So this halacha is messed up, wrong. Okay, it can't. Over Yamardeh is not allowed. Not allowed for ohel. Amar Rabbi Akiva says, Ani ataken, shu divrei chachamim kayamim. I'll fix it. Meaning, they had all heard this halacha, that mevin et tumah k'ovi amardea. So Rabbi Akiva says, I'll tell you why it's correct. It wasn't just a mistake. I'll fix it. Shiyu kol mitatalim mevin et tumah al ha'adam hanosam. So he says, it's mitatalin are mevin et tumah al adam hanosam ba'ovi hamardea. So it's only the halacha that was applied was only for the person who was carrying it. That's mevi tatuma ke'ovi amardea. V'al atzman b'chol shein. The kli itself, the stick itself. Yes, we said you agree. Rabbi Tarfon is tameh. V'al shar adam v'kelim b'poteach tefach. No, so you're right. For any other adam and keli, anything else, it's a poteach tefach. But for the guy himself, for himself, if he is bringing it and he's carrying it. Okay, therefore, we have to say that the person himself, al adama nosan ba'ovi amardea, it can only, even the thickness of the mardea, it transfers to him. Why? Because what's going to happen is we're afraid if he himself, if we only make it tumat erev, the Bartuner explains, the Kahati explains, if the tumat itself only we said it wasn't avatuma, but it was only tumat erev, people would think that in other cases it was also only tumat erev, that if you transfer and it was thicker, and it was thicker, the thickness of poteach tefach, that would also be tumat erev, when it's really av hatuma. Let's say the farmer is wearing gloves, he's not actually touching it, or it's mechibor to him, and it's because of ohel. But this thing is not ovi mardea, but it's actually thickness of a tefach. So the guy's going to say, oh, therefore, if it only brings tumah, if the mardea only brings tumah of tumat erev, or rishon the tumah, it's all rishon the tumah. So Rabbi Kiva says, the halacha was right, because whoever made the halacha, you misunderstood. It wasn't that he thought it was maybe a tatuma. He was gozer that it's maybe a tuma av hatuma. Okay, hanosein ba'ovi mardea, because of the person of the nosan, the person carrying it. That was gzeira derabanan. It's av hatuma derabanan. But v'al atzman b'chol sheim, the mardea itself, you agree, Rabbi Tarfon, is no matter how thick it is. V'al shar adam b'kelim b'poteach tefach. So the halacha is not mekupacha. Because you misunderstood, it wasn't a mistake. The halacha in the Beit Midrash was under Noseya himself because of a din derabbanan. All right, a little complicated. Hope you understood it. Hope I explained it okay. We'll dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.